Hi, Emily. My name is Shabazz.
I'm Daniel.
How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us on the movie podcast. You are fantastic in what we've seen so far of the show. We cannot wait for everyone to watch it.
Oh, thank you so much. All of us on the show, we have this WhatsApp thread, and we hadn't seen it yet. And when you do a lot of stuff that has vis effects after to be done, you're a little nervous because you've seen yourself on green screen, and you're like, "Ew, what's it gonna look like?" You feel kind of stupid doing stuff, and then we all watched it and were blown away. Like I couldn't believe how the scale of this show and how and I read the scripts and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? What's going to happen next? Like I was really excited about it. So it's nice to be in something like that.
Absolutely. Like when you look at a show that's, taking place in such a central location, but for it to feel like you're such a small blip in a giant map, I
Yeah.
guess that's a testament to the creation of the show.
Yeah.
Emily, I also want to shout out that, we know and love you from Schitt's Creek, but we also want to say that you've been part of some of our favorite shows growing up, like Anna Green Gables. That theme song still hits so hard.
Oh my God.
And, Ruby Gloom, Braceface, you've been part of so many incredible shows here that we grew up
Oh,
loving
I
and
love
watching
that
in
you
Canada.
know Ruby Gloom. I love that.
Great shows.
Yeah, and I mean, I miss doing cartoon work. It's the greatest job in the world. You can go in your pajamas, bring snacks, and like nobody sees you, and you get to play these like great fun characters. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, and you've been a part of our childhood, so thank you so much for that. The rig does a phenomenal job of highlighting the dangers of a profession that we don't often think about. How familiar were you with the world of oil rigging, and what was your preparation like?
Not at all familiar. Like I think most Canadians aren't familiar with it at all. So it was definitely a whole new world to me. And what I realized though is that it's kind of similar, not in the actual doing of the job, but similar to being an actor in that you go into a bubble world, you go on location somewhere and you are put with these people you don't know, strange, and you have to form these instant bonds, and then you're going to leave. And so it's this kind of microcosm world. But then if you take that and you add, you are in the middle of the North Sea, and then you lose all communication, and then scary stuff happens, it makes for a good show.
And Rose is such an outsider, like to the rest of the crew. What was it about her that, you really wanted to dive into in her character?
I really loved that she was this woman in a girl putting herself in the situation in a man's world, because it is really being on a rig is it still hasn't fully progressed, and but that she didn't care about being liked. She just really wanted to succeed in her job. And I like the power dynamic, the shift of that it's the woman who's so career interested, and the kind of romantic situation she's having with Fulmer, played by Martin Compston. He's more into the relationship stuff, and she's more like, this was like just a side thing, like
Right.
I have to go to work.
Right.
So I really just responded well to that.
That's great. And as you mentioned at the top of our discussion, there is so much going on within the show, and the show pivots definitely into the, some very spooky territory. How much of an idea did you have where the story was going, or how much of it was it just, what, I'm just going to trust the process?
Well, we only got the first two scripts, and then the rest of them were doled out as we were shooting. And the days we got our new script, we were just like, everyone was like scrambling to read it fast, and because we wanted to know what happened. And it just keeps escalating. Like once you think the biggest thing that could happen has happened, it just gets crazier. And it's what I love about it is that it is a supernatural thriller, but it's based on real science. And I would know because my character is a scientist in geology, an expert in geology, and so I would research this stuff to know what I was talking about. And every time I Google something, I'm like, wait a second, that's real? I mean, it's hard to tell you about it because there's a lot of spoilers about
Of
what
course, yeah.
happens, but I can say that the stuff that happens that will blow your mind is actually based on real science and therefore could happen. So, yeah, it's the
Yeah,
end of the world.
that's always great. I love
Yeah,
that at the end of the
Start
world.
the year with the end of the world. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I always try to go into a show kind of like not knowing too much about it and let the show just kind of have its effect on me. So when I started watching it, I'm like, oh, this is like, you know, really cool where we're seeing the day in the life of someone on the oil rig. That's a weird fog. And then all of a sudden, I'm now scared in my bed watching things just jump at me. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, that's what it did to all of us when we first read it, and I am excited for people to get that experience. It's too bad that, like, you know, they put out a trailer and it's an amazing trailer, and but it would be so great for most people don't do this. Just like go into this not knowing anything, and it just blows your mind.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anything about your character that you found like kinship with? You're like, yeah, this is very much like me, or is there something from her? They're like, you know what, I'm gonna, you know, I like this. I'm gonna apply this in my own life.
Let's steal this.
I'm gonna steal this. I want to steal this
Yeah.
personality.
Well, yes, very much so. I mean, the aspect of her that is all work and no play, that is very much me, because my work is my play, and I also feel like I'm wasting my time if I'm not doing something productive towards my career. But what I wanted to steal from Rose was not being apologetic about that and just doing it. And because I always feel like I'm always so sorry that I'm working so much and I can't go to your birthday or do that thing. And I always feel so bad about it that I'm torn between these two worlds. And I would love to just give up being torn and just be like, this is me. This is me.
100%.
So,
It's
yeah.
always like that level of guilt that we feel when we can't.
Yeah,
commit
I
to
mean, I think a
something.
lot of guilt because we're Canadian.
yeah. It's baked into us, I think.
Yeah, I feel like triple guilt because I'm Canadian. I went to an all-girls Catholic school where there's a lot of guilt there. So I just constantly feel bad. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a great thing to now take away from your character. Totally get it. Well, Emily, thank you so much again for sharing your time with us today on the Movie Podcast.
Thank
We can't wait for
you.
everyone to watch this show and get scared right in the new year. So again, thank you for that, and we hope to have you back on the show again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for watching it and taking the time to talk to me.